nice to have a bad habit of leaving things to the last minute as well. So I'll let you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you as well, you all as well, for being here and not skipping class today when you knew there was a guest speaker. Look, I thought I'd start out with answering 3 questions that you guys might be thinking right now. And those are, who am I? Why on earth would Nicole ask me to come and address you today? And the third one is, why should I care? So, who am I? Andy Clark. I'm born and raised here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. I went to Fredericton High School. I went to Mount Allison University, did a Canadian Studies degree. So that's a BA. Like many BAs, I didn't know what to do next, so I went to law school. I went to UBC for my law degree across the country. My first summer of law school, I summered at a law firm called Davies, Ward & Beck, which is on Bay Street in Toronto. I think now they're called Davies, Ward, Phillips & Weinberg or something, or maybe it's just Davies. Most law firms now are consolidating their names down. So I did that for a summer. I loved it. I loved living in Toronto. I did not like what that life would have been for me long term, so I sort of closed the book on Bay Street at that point and decided during my second year of law school that I wanted to come back to the Maritimes. Fredericton at that point for me I thought was a bit small, so I chose the biggest center of the Maritimes, which is Halifax, and I got an articling position with Stuart McKelvey in Halifax. I worked there I articled there, and then I worked as an associate for 4 years. Didn't love it. I wouldn't say I hated it, but it was close. Nothing against Stuart McKelvey, great law firm. I decided to test the waters, and I joined a company called Canadian International Capital as one of their in-house counsels. This is in Halifax. Canadian International Capital was an immigration and investment business. It was owned and run by former Stuart McKelvey lawyers, so I happened to play hockey with one of them, and one thing led to another, and I got poached, so to speak, and joined them. And I was with them for 4 years. As part of that time, I transitioned back to Fredericton. I have 3 children. At that point, I had 2, and when we had the second one, and we had neither set of parents around to help us out, we figured we needed to either go to St. John's, Newfoundland, where my wife was from, or move back to Fredericton. Fredericton won, and we're here to stay forever. I hope. I love it here. So, I was with CICI for 4 years. For one reason or another, that job ended. I was actually out of work for a few months. When I left Stuart McKelvey the first time, I thought there was no way in heck I would ever go back to private practice. I did. I went back to Stuart McKelvey in Fredericton for 2 years. Again, great law firm, lots of great people, lots of great lawyers. I've left once again. So, what am I doing now? I am now, I'm fortunate that my wife is now my boss. My wife is a chiropractor. Her name is Dr. Shelley Quinlan. She has Fredericton Family Chiropractic, and she decided to bring me on board. I was able to pick my own title, and I called myself Chief Wellness Officer. So I am now CWO at Fredericton Family Chiropractic. I'm one of those people that gets up now, and I love what I do every day. I'm one of the people that, everyone used to say that to me, they love what they do every day. I wanted to punch them in the face. I'm now one of those people. Question 2. Why would Nicole ask me to come here today, given all of that? I didn't really love practicing law. Am I here today to discourage you from pursuing your interest in practicing law? Absolutely not. I have utmost respect for the profession and for lawyers. You know, in order for a society to function properly, you need lawyers. My new passion is health and wellness, but it is also in helping lawyers practice in a more health and wellness conscious manner. The profession itself lends itself to stress. It's not the only profession that does that, but it is one of them that's way at the top of the list on stressful professions. And it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. And so many people, whether they work on Bay Street or whether they're small town sole practitioners, are stressed out, and it impacts their family life, and it impacts their health, and it impacts their social life, and it impacts their spiritual life, and nobody wins. Okay? So, over the last year, I started, as I developed this passion, well, passion has been developing for more than that, but over the last year, I started a blog called wellnesslawyer.com, and I think that's how the connection was made with Nicole and I. She had heard through the grapevine that this was out there, and asked me to come in, as she said, and speak to you a little bit about, you know, how to manage stress. Law school is stressful, or can be stressful. The profession can be stressful, and so, you know, it is helpful, I think, to try to think about that a little bit and to try to develop some habits early. You guys are 3 weeks into your legal career, I guess. The earlier you can develop habits in law school that you might want to carry forward to your practice of law, then I think the better. Somebody said, and I can't remember who it was, that successful people make a habit of doing things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. I think that also applies if you change the word successful to healthy. Healthy people do the things that, or make habit of the things that unhealthy people don't like to do. And my big picture, my premise is that we are all here on this planet and in this life to maximize the quality of our lives. We cannot maximize the quality of our lives if we are not healthy and well. We cannot be healthy and well if we are stressed out. And so that's where the connection comes in. We need to recognize what stress is, and we need to develop some strategies to try to minimize that stress and to dissipate or to cope with the stress that we do have. Because in reality, I don't think we can eliminate it completely from our lives. So, why should you care? Hopefully I've covered part of that. But I'll share something with you that I didn't share with Nicole. And, you know, why does this apply in particular to a criminal law class? Because in the mid-90s, I spent 4 years incarcerated in a federal prison. That was a joke. I just want to make sure you were listening.
I was like, how did you come to her? I was really looking forward to telling the dean that, yeah, things kind of went sideways.
So hopefully you cared. But in the time we have left, I want to talk about 3 specific strategies to help you with stress. Right? The first one is I would like you to ask yourself 3 questions. First is, what am I doing in law school? Why am I here? Second one is, what do I want out of law school, or my law school experience? And the third one is, why do I want what I want out of my law school experience? Okay? And these require some contemplation, so I'm not asking you to do it right now. But note those 3 questions and think about that. And so, you know, why am I in law school? And I'm sure the reasons are as varied as there are people in the room. You know, like me, I had a BA, seemed like a good idea. You know, some people are in law school because they want to save the world. Some people are in law school because they want to save the environment. Some people are in law school because they want to make lots of money. Some people are in law school because they want to uphold the balance of justice. Some people are in law school because they want to fight for the little guy. Some people are in law school because they want to fight for the big guy. It doesn't really matter, but I think it's important that you know why you're here. And the reason why I think it's important is because that is your starting point. The next question, what do I want out of my law school experience? What do I want out of law school? Well, that's your vision. That's where you want to go. Okay. So do you want to finish top of your class? Do you just want to graduate? Do you want to win a competitive moot? Do you want to, you know, get a job on Bay Street with a pile of money? You know, at the end of the rainbow? Do you want to be a sole practitioner in your hometown? Do you want to expand your mind? Do you want to party for 3 years? Whatever it is, get clear on what it is that you want out of law school. And the third thing is, why do you want that? And if you go through that exercise of asking yourself, why do you want it, that helps you get really clear on what it is you want. Because if you cannot justify why you want what you say it is that you want, then there's probably something telling you that maybe I don't really want that. Maybe there's something else that I want. So you go through that. And so how does this relate to stress and stress management? Well, I think it does that in 2 ways. One, and we've all heard this one, you know, you can't get where you're going if you don't know where you're going, you know, how are you going to get there? That's an easy one. We've all heard that. But the second one, and I don't think we think about quite as much, is that once you've done that initial thinking of where you want to go and why you want to get there, and it takes some time and it's not easy, but once you've done that, you've got a crystal clear roadmap of where you want to go, then all the decisions that you make every day, and there are lots of them, there's lots of little choices every day that you make. You may not realize this, but every day there's 100 choices, probably more, that you make. Little ones, big ones, whatever. If you know where you're going, all those choices become easy to make. Because you can filter them through the lens of, is this going to take me closer to where I want to go, or is it going to take me further away? Choice becomes easy. If we haven't done that thinking at the start, every choice becomes agonizing. Well, I don't know, should I do this, should I not do this? I'm not quite sure, how's that going to turn out? That sucks the energy out of you. It becomes stressful. So this is big picture kind of stuff, but it's helpful. It helps your days become easier. It helps choices become easier. It minimizes stress in your life. You know where you want to go. You make the choices that take you further along that path to getting there. Number 2, the second tip, I guess, is identify the relative importance of law school in the context of the rest of your life. So, law school is important. I get it. Absolutely. You guys have worked really hard to get here. It's a big part of your life. Working towards getting a job and starting your career, absolutely big deal. Don't minimize that. But let's recognize that it's really just one piece of the bigger picture. You know, my kids and I were watching B movie the other day. Anyone seen that movie? Mm-hmm. Jerry Seinfeld? Anyone seen it? And so the line that jumped out to me is at the start of the movie, you know, they're getting their jobs for the rest of their life, and the girl says, you know, as bees, you've worked your whole life to get to this point where you can work for your whole life. I mean, I thought it was pretty profound, actually, you know, coming from a bee. But, I mean, the parallels to law school are kind of self-evident, aren't they? I mean, you work hard, you work your butt off to get into law school. And in law school, you work your butt off to graduate and get good grades and get a good job. And what happens when you get that good job? You work for the rest of your life. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You know, and we love what we do, then it's not work. We'll have heard that as well, too, lots of times. But it's true. It is true. Love what you do, then it's not work. So, can anyone give me other important things in their life besides law school? Shout them out, please.
Family. Brian.
Sports.
Pardon?
Sports.
Sports.
Friends.
Friends. Help. Help.
Money.
Money. Who said money? Money is such a dirty word sometimes. Money, profit, making money. Money's great. That's a great one. Money, financial life, absolutely, very important. Anything else?
Having fun.
Fun?
Sleep.
So, I'm sure you guys can think of others. The point is that there are lots of others. And the point is also to think about what they are for you. They're not the same for everybody. Two examples, if you're interested in this, on my blog, this is not a pitch, but I do have, the way my mind works, I was a corporate lawyer. I decided to view my life as a company with a lot of different divisions. Each division for a different aspect of my life that's important to me. And I have 9. There is a incredible up-and-coming personal development program called Lifebook. Check it out, it's at mylifebook.com. And they divide life down into 12 categories. And they take you in through a process of, a bit what we talked about earlier about thinking deeply about why you're in law school. They do that in all aspects of your life. And so you create this compelling life vision. The point is that there's not just one way to do this, there's lots of ways to do this, but it's important to do it, I think, so that when you have a big test, or when you're stressed out, or you've got lots to read, and law school is caving down on top of you, because it will at some point, because it's hard, and it's new, and there's a lot of work. Just remember, it's one part of your life. An important part of your life, but it's one part of your life. And please do not let it take priority over your health. Because it's possible. It's possible that that happens. There's no time to eat properly. There's no time to sleep. There's no time to exercise. Well, that's a bunch of crap, as there is. If you sleep 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, that means that you have 16 hours a day to do stuff. That means you have 112 hours in the week to do stuff. Don't tell me there's not enough time for exercise, for sleep, for eating right. Eating right. Buy this, the Optimum Nutrition Bible, or something like it, and study it. I shouldn't say study this. You have enough studying. Don't study it. Read it. That's actually a decent reading. But it's so important. What you put in your body fuels you, right? It gives you more energy to tackle the stuff. We talk about minimizing stress and the ability to cope with stress. Having the right nutrients in your body helps you to do both, right? Stress actually is a physiological reaction in your body that consumes energy. It diverts energy away from your normal bodily function. So when you're stressed out, you will have less energy. Stress is supposed to be a short-term thing, but when we're stressed out over a long period of time, it's chronic stress and it's unhealthy. And then what do we do when we're chronically stressed? Well, we stuff a bunch of stimulants into our bodies, like coffee or cigarettes or alcohol or chocolate or whatever. And look, I drink beer. I'm no saint. I do lots of this stuff. But it's important to remember that when you are stressed and you're on stimulants, that just sucks more energy out of your body, and you get to the point where you're completely exhausted. That's the inevitable result. So it's important, right? The nutrients that you need in your body, if you're on a bunch of stimulants and a bunch of things that you're doing to combat your stress level, well, then those nutrients are diverted away from what you're supposed to do to make you healthy and strong, and you're trying to combat all this other crap, and you just become exhausted. And it's not a way to live. So, this takes us back to why we are trying to work on the stress management techniques. Okay? So, the second point, identify in your life where law school fits, and remember there's a lot of other stuff that's really important. third thing, what's my timeline?
Oh, I think we'll go just a couple minutes over, but 25 after.
Okay, great. The third thing is the concept of self-responsibility. Again, oh geez, what is this guy talking about? We're here for stress. You know, I'm in my third week of law school. I've got a whole pile of stuff on my plate. I understand you just had a homework assignment that took 8 hours. You know, I'm sure you got a lot on your brain right now, and you don't really need me telling you all this crap. But self-responsibility is one that you need to get through your head right now if it's not there already, and that is no one's coming to save you. There's a guy named Nathaniel Branden who's he wrote a book called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. Hugely influential person, and he once gave a talk, and my wife was there, and he said, "I'm here today to tell you that no one is here to save you. No one's coming to save you." And someone put up their hand and said, well, you came. And he said, "I came to tell you that nobody's coming to save you." And it's true, self-responsibility. Whether you achieve the vision that you have set out for yourself in law school or in life in general, is solely the result of your efforts. Nobody else. There's nobody to blame. So if you look at that in a law school context, you know, yeah, get a bad grade. It's not the prof's fault. It's not your spouse's fault. It's not the course's fault. It's nobody's fault. It just is. You're responsible. Self-responsibility. Don't blame. You're it. You are the only reason why you will succeed or fail in law school, in life, in anything. And so you might say, well, geez, that's a big one. Like, you're supposed to minimize my stress, and now you're telling me that I'm so responsible for every outcome I have in my life. What's this all about? But you could look at it that way. I would prefer to look at it and say, like this. So if I'm responsible for the outcome, then I want to have as much control over that as I can. And absolutely there are things that we cannot control. But for the most part, we can control our lives. And, you know, the feeling of being in control, in my view and in my experience, is a lot less stressful than the feeling of chaos, not being in control. Not having enough time. So, you know, one, to bring it down, concrete, practical way to do this is to plan your week. Now that sounds pretty simple. Plan your week. Companies do this all the time. Companies will look at, will look long term and they'll say, okay, what are the big picture goals here of our company? And then they'll bring it back and they'll say, well, what are the, in order to get to our big picture goals, what's our annual goal? And what is our quarterly goal? And what is our monthly and weekly? And you bring it right down so that every day you are working on or working towards reaching that big picture goal. In companies where it goes wrong or it goes astray a little bit is that companies have a whole pile of people. So how do you get everybody to buy into this? Well, that problem isn't there when it's just you. It's just you and it's just your life. And so you can control it. And I'm not telling everybody to, figure out what their big picture goals are in life today and all that sort of stuff. But what I can suggest is that you start with the week. And so you break down your week into chunks of time that you allocate to certain things. And now it's fairly easy. You're in law school. You plug in all your class time. That takes up a lot of your week right there. Okay. Well, what's the other stuff?
Meetings.
You got meetings. You've got studying. You've got family commitments. Some of you have kids. Some of you have spouses. Exercise. Eating right. Preparing foods that you can have so you don't eat crap when you're starved for time. Social life, party on Saturday, party on Tuesday. Whatever it is, plug it in. Plug it in. Your week. And I tell you what this does, is it allows you to look at your week. So say it's on Sunday night, you plan out your week, and you look at it and you say, wow, you know what, I've got a lot of stuff to do this week, but I know I can't do it all at once. And, you know, I've got a slot for all these things that I want to do this week. And you'll notice that stress just comes right down. Because we all have a list of things we need to do. And we all feel like we need to do them right now. But if you spread it over a week, you can say, okay, I got that to do, but I'm going to do that on Thursday. So that's taken care of. That's Thursday from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Done. The other thing it helps you to do is to evaluate all the other stuff that comes up that you can't plan for. Somebody asked you to do this, somebody asked you to do that. Well, you can look at your week and say, okay, well, I don't really have time for that, but, you know, is it more important than what I'm doing here on Tuesday from 10 to 2? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it allows you to make that choice and stay focused. And I think to be less stressed. Warren Buffett said, everyone know who Warren Buffett is? Pretty rich dude, pretty smart guy. He said that the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. And so, if you have your week planned out, I think you'll find yourself saying no to a lot more stuff. Because the important stuff is already blocked in there, and you're going to do that stuff. And the stuff that's not that important, maybe you'll say no to that stuff. So what I'm going to ask you to do is this, before I stop, is to right now, and you can say, yeah, who's this guy? He's not going to grade me. Like, I'm not going to do this. But I'm going to challenge you to do, right now, what is it? It's 1:20 on Wednesday afternoon. Between now and Sunday night, block 90 minutes aside. 90 minutes. And do 3 things. 1, ask yourself, why am I in law school? What do I want out of law school? And why do I want it? And write it down. Second thing is develop your list of all the things, all the aspects or categories of your life that are important to you. And then think about, where does law school fit in that? And the third thing is plan your week for next week. Get a little, where's mine? Doesn't have to be pretty, this is mine. That's it. Doesn't take much time. I got this little crappy thing off the net. I've been doing this for, you know, a while now. Every Sunday I plan out my week. Some things change. You know, I write some stuff in, I move some stuff around. But I tell you what, once I've done this on Sunday night, I just feel so calm and so confident that I'm going to accomplish everything on here, and then I know it's going to get done, and the stress just evaporates. So do that. 90 minutes before Sunday night, do those 3 things, and think about how it makes you feel. Think about whether or not it is actually helping you. And you know what? If it doesn't, if it's all a bunch of bull, that's fine. You've tried it, move on. But I tend to think that it might help you out. That's all I have to say. Any questions?
Meaning of life kind of questions? Okay, well, we can continue to talk about this through the year. I'm just like to say, this is why I have my office hours blocked out, and I'm pretty rigid about it. For those 2 hours after class, until 3:30, I'm yours. I'm sitting in my office, waiting to talk about criminal law, jobs, school, life, blocking out patterns. But I'll tell you, from 4:30 to 5:45, I'm in yoga, okay? And then tonight I'm at a guest speaker, and I actually, by trial and error, when you get to be quite busy, just out of survival, you learn how to do that. I wish I had done that in law school, okay? Because you're kind of just pushed day by day, putting out fires, how do I survive for class the next day, on and on. And you're right, I think that's what causes a lot of the stress, right? And also, if you take on the attitude that there is no way that I can read every sentence for every class. I can do what I can, and if you get 75-80% compliance on your readings, that's pretty good. right? Maybe I shouldn't speak for but you can work with that, right? You go back and fill in the gap when you've got a crim catch-up day on a Saturday morning somewhere where you're like, okay, this is where I need to make sure that I'm where I should be for this 3 or 4 week period of time. That kind of thing. So thank you so much, Andy. I really, really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
And check out wellnesslawyer.com.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.